नहीं है हिचकिचाना, मन के स्वास्थ्य पर है ध्यान लगाना।
अब नहीं है हिचकिचाना, मन के स्वास्थ्य पर है ध्यान लगाना।
मन की सेहत भी है जरूरी, काउंसलर से फिर क्यों दूरी।
मन की सेहत भी है जरूरी, काउंसलर से फिर क्यों दूरी।
चलो अब अपना फोन उठाओ, मनोदर्पण पर कॉल लगाओ। चलो अब अपना फोन उठाओ, मनोदर्पण पर कॉल लगाओ। मनोदर्पण के काउंसलर से परामर्श पाने के लिए डायल करें टोल फ्री नंबर 844-844-0632। नंबर एक बार फिर सुने, 844-844-0632।
Namaskar, I'm Harpreet Kaur and I welcome you all to our live and interactive session of MANODARPAN Paricharcha. Paricharcha sessions are held under the beautiful initiative of Ministry of Education as a part of Atmanirbhar Bharat Abhiyan for providing psychosocial support to parents, teachers and students across the country. You are watching this special session on our eVidya channels 6 and 11 and also on our YouTube channel NCERT Official. While you can also watch this session on our Facebook page at NCERT Official. This session is live and interactive, and that means that you can participate in the session, you can ask your questions, queries and also give your suggestions and feedback. The topic that we have taken up today is very beautiful, something that probably we haven't heard of or haven't even imagined. Yes, today we are going to talk about harnessing the powers of the ego for success in life. Ego, well, this is a word that we use quite frequently, you know, that meri ego hurt ho gayi or something like that, or you have hurt somebody's ego. But what exactly do we mean by ego? Is it really negative? Is it just a synonym to self-respect? Or is it something that is adversely impacting our lives and, you know, we don't know about that? So we will be having all these doubts, I'm sure, but in this sessions, your doubts will be cleared and questions will be answered, because we have a set of panelists who will definitely discuss this concept in detail. They will share their insights, their opinions, and they will also welcome the questions from you. So how you people can reach us? Well, we have different mediums. There are 2 phone numbers. They are flashing on your screen as well continuously, and you can take them down also. We have, first of all, our eVidya number for you, which is 8800440559. And in case you want to reach out to us through our counselors, then we have a national tele-helpline number for you, and that is 844-844-0632. We also have a dedicated website, which is www.manodarpan.education.gov.in. This website has a lot of I would say useful content, which of course will help you in many ways. It's very beneficial. So if you have any doubts, anything that is bothering you psychologically, you can definitely visit this website. There are some contact numbers and you can reach out to the people for the help and the support, and of course guidance too. And last but not the least, you're watching us live on our YouTube channel NCERT Official. So you can always go to the comment section. You can drop your comments, questions, your suggestions and feedback there, and you can connect with us instantly. So let me tell you the topic once again for today's discussion. On MANODARPAN Paricharcha today, we will be talking about harnessing the powers of the ego for success in life. And to have a discussion on this topic, we have our guests with us. They have joined us online. So let me introduce them to all of you one by one. Let's start with Professor Elizabeth Gangmei. Ma'am is professor from NERIE Shillong. Professor Elizabeth, namaskar and welcome to the session.
Namaste, namaste.
We are also joined by Dr. Tulika Dey. Ma'am is Associate Professor from NERIE Shillong. Ma'am, namaskar and welcome to the session.
Namaskar, and thank you for having me here in this session.
Pleasure is all ours, ma'am. And last but not the least, we are also joined by Professor Soma Bhomik. Ma'am is a Vice Chancellor from William Carey University, Shillong. Namaskar and welcome to the session.
Thank you, ma'am, for having me.
Thank you so much. So now it's time for me to start the question and answer round, and definitely, ego is a word that is quite misunderstood. If it is used in positive ways, it can, definitely impact our lives in a very successful manner, and we can take all the advantages from it. But if it is used negatively, or if it is understood or misconstrued, then definitely it has its negative impact as well, negative effect, it is going to affect us really negatively. So let's try to understand what exactly this word is all about and how it is playing an important role when it comes to be successful in life. So Professor Elizabeth, let's start with you, and the very first question that I have is about ego. I request you to kindly explain to all of us what exactly is the meaning of ego.
Thank you so much, Harpreet. Once again, my warm regards to all of you. My regards to my two co-panelists, Soma and Dr. Tulika. Also, regards to all the viewers who are joining here and who will be joining in the days to come also. Thank you so much for the question. Yes, we need to understand first, the background of what is the meaning of the topic that we are going to have today.
Yes.
Very well, all of us, I think all of us want to be successful in life, isn't it?
Yes.
All of us, including me, including you, and everybody. We want to be successful. So that is why today we come with a very positive connotation. Already we have said that ego is very misunderstood, and it used to be, presented in a very ill-informed way, or how do I say, in a very negative connotations.
Yes.
So today we are going to talk about ego in a very positive and impactful manner. We are going to deliberate about it. We are going to go insight into it, and how do we harness them for our success in life. So I request all the viewers to be with us till the end, so that you will know how to implement it and how to practice in your daily life. So having said that, let me go to what is the meaning of ego. So ego, we can say that in a simple word, ego is a sense of yourself. Self. So it is something like aspect of yourself you consider as you consider as you. So and it is a identification of self. So it is how you identify yourself as a person, or we can say it is how you have a sense of self-importance. So here the I, me, myself, that is very important in explaining what is ego. So if we go to the educational meaning or the etymological meaning, this ego, it comes from Latin word, which is I, as we have already said, I. So it means it's a central feeling of identification of self, identifying, the central focus of ego, the central idea of ego is, yourself, I, me, and myself. So this I, me, and myself, this one is, like it is understood. It is contacted through your perception. It is your perception, how you understand yourself. So many a time people explain ego as very complex, complicated, mindset or in the mind, right? So that is why, so how you understand yourself, how already Harpreet has mentioned that in a common connotation, we misunderstood.
Yes.
We say that he is very egoist, or when we say you're very egoist, it means, we understand it as very arrogance.
Yes.
But when we look at psychological or in an etymological sense, it has a very positive sense. Ego is very, very positive. So it means, understanding, helping you understand your surrounding, you're perceiving yourself, how you know yourself. And this ego is very much related to your self-esteem, your self-importance, your self-worth, perception of yourself. That is why it is very, it's very important that we are very much aware about who I am. what I am. It is related to your identity also, self-worth, self-identity like that. So the more you are clear about your ego, or the more you are clear about what is ego, and you maintain your ego, that means you will have a positive self-esteem or self-importance. Okay, having said that, I also wanted to mention about how this ego has been traced, the genesis of this ego. This come from, Sigmund Freud, Austrian psychologist. He's a pioneer of this, ego and superego. He developed a theory known as psychoanalytic theory. In this psychoanalytic theory, he mentioned three very important components of our personality. That is the it, ego, and superego. So it is, what he say is that, I will not go very deep into this, psychoanalytic or psychological, because it will be difficult for the viewers to understand, and it require a lot of time. But still, then I will just want to give an overview of this. So Freud say that our personality is comprised of three things. That is it, ego, and superego. So it means the biological impulses, the primal impulses, which is very, very raw in nature. And also he say that there is a superego, which is related to morality. So remember that it is a pleasure principle, pleasure. We seek for pleasure, hunger or thirst or like that, self-gratification.
Okay.
So superego is a morality. And here ego is a mediator, the one who give a check over the it and the superego. Now, I just want to add by saying that when Sigmund Freud explained about this psychoanalytic or three component of personality, he used an example of, a person riding a horse. A person riding a horse, the horse is the it. The person who ride and control the horse is the ego. And the horse rider father was sitting behind. So he instruct him, go this side, you do like this, you give instruction to the horse. So the one who is giving advice sitting at the back is the superego. So he compare it like that. So that is how the beginning, how the genesis of how ego or superego or it has come. So it has a psychological meanings, psychological sources. So that is how it started. But common people in contemporary time, you use ego as something how a person's perceived self in relation to others. I think today our discussion also revolve around that. How a person, how I perceive other person, the way I understood, or how I build up my perception. So it's very important. My perception to you, my understanding about you, it will involve many things, even my communication, even my self-worth, even my, the self-esteem.
Right.
All these things are involved in the way we perceive others. So once ego is developed, it can change, it can always evolve. So every one of us, everyone, big or small, all of us has our ego. So when I say I am happy, it is ego statement. When I say I am very strong, it is ego statement. When I say I am weak, also ego statement. So ego has something to do with how you perceive yourself. So it's very important that we understand, we know what is ego, and also we manage how how our egos are built up, or how we know about these egos are happening in our transformation, in the process of our transformation. So I think that is what as an introduction I would like to give to you about. I think other co-panelists also will be explaining more in detail about it. Thank you.
Sure, ma'am. Thank you so much for that wonderful explanation. You talked about the origin of ego. You made us understand that ego is not just about how others are perceiving us. It has more to do with our own personality, our own perception about who we are, what we do, and how we think about the things. And I think today we have got a very positive side of this thing called ego, because as far as in contemporary times people's point of views are concerned, people think that ego is absolutely, you said, it's related to arrogance. But how do you know yourself, how do you perceive yourself, and how you maintain your views? It is what about ego, we can say. And this is a very thin line, about being egoistic and about being self-centered or selfish. You don't have to be a narcissist, you don't have to manipulate others, but ego is all about protecting yourself and setting your boundaries and respecting your own worth so that others cannot take advantage of the same. That's what I have understood, but yes, there is more to come. And now let's move on to Professor Soma. Ma'am, we have understood the meaning of ego. Now, let's talk about how it is impacting our lives negatively, because most of us, common people who are not psychologists or haven't studied psychology or don't know about the origin, they are considering it as something which is a rude behavior, egoistic sense of self-pride, so this is impacting us negatively. What do you have to say about it?
Yes, Ms. Kaur, it's a very interesting question that you have put forward. And Professor Elizabeth has initiated this discussion.
Yes.
With her comments. We understand now already, I'm sure, that ego is basically a double-edged weapon.
Yes.
So it's a double-edged weapon, and we have normally, we have always discussed about ego, and in common parlance also, we speak about ego in a negative manner. But today we see that it has got a positive aspect also.
Yes.
But let me still go back and kind of list out certain aspects of ego that we talk about in a negative manner. Now, ego, you will find that it is many times very closely associated with pride.
Yes.
And, ego and pride have caused the downfall of many great civilizations. If you look into history, you will see many civilizations have lost its glory due to pride, due to ego. And not only civilizations, organizations, leaders throughout history.
Yes.
Very recently we have seen, while ego is also again necessary to motivate progress and achievement. Professor Elizabeth has already marked upon that. And but uncontrolled ego frequently overrides wisdom. We lose our mind, we lose our reason, and in that way, we lose our morality, we lose our care for others. As human beings, that we live in a society, we don't live alone, we live together with others. So our perception about ourselves also has to be very, very balanced.
Yes.
And so many times it has been said that ego is an enemy of good leadership. Many times we see that. And so you will find that important organizations, important corporations, they when they talk about leadership positions, they see people who have well-rounded personalities.
Yes.
Too much of ego, and how that particular individual uses his traits, behavioral traits, also has got a very important impact on leadership qualities. So when we talk about ego in leadership qualities, it's about what we try to do is we try to prioritize our self-interest over organizational success. Many times you will find that in an organization, you will find people who have got who always seeks opportunities, personal opportunities, instead of pushing forward organizational success. Specifically, we continue to always examine how ego drives counterproductive behaviors like arrogance, selfish decision-making, and the inability to admit mistakes.
Absolutely.
So, yes, these are very common things that we see among human beings, among our friends, within family members. And if we are wise enough, we can control these negative impacts within ourselves also. But as human beings, because we falter, it is very difficult for us to control these issues within ourselves. Now, by looking at certain real world examples, we can recognize ego's threats. Ego's threat can destroy big time and embrace leadership approaches centered on empowerment, on humility, and on service, which actually you have at the very beginning, Ms. Kaur, you have very appropriately mentioned about Atmanirbhar Bharat,
Yes.
and which is again a big path towards Viksit Bharat at 2047. So the human resource that we have in our country, we must be really very, very aware about our own qualities and how we affect positively this entire journey of Viksit Bharat at 2047. Now, many scholars, because we are all academicians mainly, also we are practitioners, but we have seen a lot of researchers and scholars. They have long studied the relationship between ego and leadership. Now, one very important psychologist who come to my mind immediately is psychologist Keith Campbell. So Keith Campbell has extensively researched on narcissism. Now, the things are bordering on narcissism. Like we say that it is a double-edged weapon. So we also have to talk about narcissism here. And it has found that it correlates with ineffective leadership. So if we always try to mold our leaders, particularly in universities, but in higher education institutions, as well as at school level, like monitors, at college levels, like class representatives, so that they become well-rounded personalities to lead their fellow beings. And Professor Campbell, he has extensively studied this, and often, it has people are characterized by inflated ego and a sense of entitlement, which again is we would say in a democratic country like ours is very an undemocratic quality. Now, other researchers also in their demonstration, they have demonstrated how ego threatens objectivity, which is a very, very important quality of research. If you go for research at any level, we need to be extremely objective. And if a person has got an inflated ego, then the research becomes very biased. The results become very biased. That doesn't serve the society. So any research which doesn't serve the society and the community is I would say, has got no worth. It is worthless and it's useless. So much of we are spending so much of our resources of the country in researches. So our researchers needs to give out very objective results. Yes, objective results, so that our state, our government can be aided, can be supported with those research to frame policies for the country. So we say that another very important negative impact of ego is the destructive influences, is a sense of arrogance. It breeds in leaders at any level. So with an inflated view of their own merits and abilities, you will find arrogant leaders. When I say leaders, it doesn't mean political leaders only. It means leaders in the industry. It means leaders in the universities. It means leaders in any organization.
Absolutely.
Whether it is whether it is a factory, whether it is a weaving industry, anywhere. So we cannot take criticisms. We cannot take opposing views and we always take these as personal attacks rather than opportunities to improve. And as a result, the leaders, they lose touch with the realities. We lose touch with the community, the society, at the ground, and we just dismiss valid concerns, and we cut ourselves off because of our ego from valuable perspectives and information. And as a result, what happens? Ego also affects our decision-making process, which is so very important. And because decision-making process, when it is impacted by ego in a negative sense, it brings in a lot of self-interest.
Yes.
And over organizational priorities, which we see in many fields. I mean, I will not talk about foreign countries. We can talk about our own countries in the various aspects that we see, facets of life that we see across us. We will find how ego has impacted the political realities of our country, how ego has impacted negatively our industrial life, how it has done not so good things for our country. So ego plays a lot of negative impacts, has got a negative impact. Also, we always prioritize our own status, our own power, our the legacy above else, and these are very short term.
Yes.
Very short term. They are self-focused choices, and undercuts ego negatively. Undercuts long-term organizational, national success and vision. So I think our other panelists also must have other very important things to say about ego and success. Ma'am, I will talk to you.
Sure, sure. Thank you so much, ma'am. And what a beautiful insight you shared, that, we cannot take criticism because we take it as an offense, rather seeing it as an opportunity to improve. And that's a fact. You talked about leadership, and I personally feel that if your leader is not good, whether it's the country, whether it's the organization that you're working in, whether it's at home, the man of the family or the person, heading the family, if the leader is not good, so if you're talking about research or you're talking about anything that is happening for the welfare of others, will have a personal interest in that, and it will not suffice or serve the purpose that it was meant for. We're spending so many resources, and we are, we will never be able to get those authentic results and genuine feedback because the person in charge has an inflated ego. So yes, it does impact you negatively. And when we talk about the fall from grace of certain leaders of the countries or big nations or even in organizations, if we see the history, and you correctly mentioned why to go far and look at the foreign history, let's look into the history of our own country. Let's look at the incidents that are taking place in our own country, in organizations, factories, in the households. Fall from grace happens when you have a really big ego and you just fail to understand that the opposing views are not against you, but they're meant to, bring some kind of improvement. So that's a challenge, and you need to have a really, I would say, wisdom. You need to have a humility to control your emotions, to control and manage the ego that is have. So that is a completely, I would say, a no and a loss situation when ego is considered or perceived as something that is private property or that is being hurt, even when something constructive is coming your way. But then ego has a positive side too. We understood in the beginning. It enables success. It enables people to flourish in their life when it is controlled and managed really beautifully. So Dr. Tulika, I'm sure you have some really great points to share with us, that how ego enables success in life. Please share that, ma'am. Dr. Tulika, are you there with us? Can you hear us?
Yes.
Yes.
Well, I feel that the ego is responsible for managing what is going on around me, in taking the decisions and also maintaining a sense of self.
Right.
It helps me to navigate with the world around me and cope with the internal conflicts that I have between the desires and the moral constraints.
Yes.
What I want to get, and morally the ethics with me, whether I should be doing it in this way or not. That is something, is a conflict that is there between this desire and the moral constraints.
Right, ma'am.
And ego, as I understand, the negative connotation has been talked about. But what I would like to focus on is the positive aspect of it. And often used to describe someone's self-esteem or self-importance, so as to say, as it has been pointed out by both my previous co-panelists. And when we think about this harnessing the power of the ego for success, then it involves understanding and balancing its influence. That means the ego's influence on our life, how we see about it, how does it influence me in balancing or the work that I do and how I carry myself, the way I perceive things. So this ego, although is seen sometimes as an arrogance, or sometimes people say very egoist, means it's self-centeredness also. Sometimes people perceive it in that way. But it can also be a powerful tool to motivate you, to arouse your self-confidence and the personal growth when you can manage it correctly. Okay?
Yes.
So managing is what is very, very important. And this is what I think that constructively, if we use, it can lead us to achieve success. Okay?
Right.
So the next question, that is how then? How do we manage this in a constructive way so that we achieve success?
Yes.
So this slide itself is showing that there are some tips are there for harnessing this ego, the power of ego for success. And the first, as you can see among them, is self-confidence and ambition. So this ego is closely linked to this development of the self-confidence and also the driving force for your ambition when it is managed well, okay, effectively, if we can manage.
Yes.
The ego can be a powerful catalyst. What I feel for myself also, that it is a very powerful catalyst for nurturing both self-confidence and ambition. So I need to excel. It is not necessarily that I compete with others. It is with my own self also that I need to compete to do better. So it is this ego in me drives me to excel, do better. And it also boosts up my confidence level that if I can do this, I can do this. So it is something that always helps me in boosting my self-confidence of doing things.
Right.
So what is important is that the healthy ego that you need to nurture, it's not that the negative part of the ego, but the healthy part of the ego needs to be nurtured so that it influences how we perceive ourselves.
Yes.
Because we are talking about the self, so it will help you in nurturing your self-confidence and a strong sense of self-worth will be there.
Right.
So then if it is a very well-balanced one, if the ego is well-balanced, it will allow you to strengthen your capabilities also clearly. You will know where I need to hone my skills. What is that is more important to achieve this target. So that is something the ego reinforces a positive self-image and it boosts our confidence.
True.
Okay, this is the first thing. And then, as I said, it will also help you in believing in your own abilities and sharpening your skills of the abilities, and that will again give you a strong sense of yourself. Okay, so this is the bringing or believing in your own abilities.
Right.
And the next thing that I also feel that the unhealthy ego is something which helps you overcome your self-doubt. Sometimes we feel, can I do this? Will I be able to do this? So if you have an healthy ego, which is always driving you towards excelling, towards achieving what you want to achieve, your dreams, your desires, then it is going to help you overcome your self-doubt by reminding you of the previous experiences, the successes that you have achieved or the capacity that you have to achieve them. So this is what is internal reinforcement. It keeps you telling that yes, you can do, you can build up on your capacities. You can build resilience against all the criticism that you face if someone is there, or if there is a setback that you face. So this will allow you to maintain your confidence in very difficult situations. So this is what I feel. And also we need to set the boundaries. Where is my boundary? What is my worth? And setting this boundary is very, very important. And we need to understand that where is the boundary? How much should I stretch on? What I can do? So this is what is very important. And if we have self-confidence, then ambition is surely going to follow it. Okay? So this ambition is nothing but it drives you to achieve the place that you want. The key role it will play in fostering your desire. You nurture the desire that you have in your mind to achieve something. It drives you towards that. So that is the ambition. So the ego also helps you visualize your success, which is very crucial for setting and pursuing ambitious goals. So this, I think that both the self-confidence and the ambition is something which complements each other. Coming to the next point is that it is resilience and perseverance. So what is this resilience and perseverance? It's a strong ego. If you have, it helps you remain resilient and in the face of very adverse situations. It enables you to bounce back. If you face a failure at any point of time, it will help you to bounce back and keep pursuing what you want to achieve. So that helps you to believe in yourself that you can succeed even if you are facing some challenges in front of you. And this also helps us to the desire that we have for success and recognition. So this is what is the persistence. It gives you a clear vision of what you want to achieve, what is your success, and how you can attain this. So this is what I think about resilience and the perseverance, which also to resilience itself is not going to help you if you do not have perseverance, because the journey towards success is not easy. It is quite tough. And so the perseverance is something which you must have, so that along with the resilience to cope with difficult situations, you also have the perseverance. You persevere to attain what is your ultimate goal.
Yes.
Coming to the third point, it is taking ownership and responsibility. See, if your ego is well managed, it will take responsibility of your own actions and the outcomes. The decision that I take today, I cannot blame if it goes wrong. I cannot blame others for it.
True.
So if I have a very strong ego, whatever comes, whether it is success or failure, I will definitely own that action and responsibly own that action and the outcome also. So I see that your will, or in that case, you will own decisions and their consequences, and you will learn from that mistake, and next time there will be a better decision or better choices that you make.
Sure.
And Professor Soma was talking about leadership qualities, and leaders always with a very healthy ego are often very decisive. They can take very quick decisions, and they're willing to take charge. They're confident to make decisions, take responsibility, and inspire their fellow beings by their skill of taking quick decisions, prompt decision, and with confidence. So they are also being able to inspire people around them. Yeah, coming to the fourth point, that is the focus and goal setting. Yeah, so there, if we see the focus, as I have already mentioned, that ego helps you to concentrate on your ambition, what you desire to do. So the ego will help you to focus on your goal and stay committed in them. Okay, this is my goal. I need to focus on it and committed towards it. So I need to progress in a particular way. The road towards this, achieving this, has to be framed by me beforehand. So how will I do? By aligning my actions with the inspirations or aspiration that I have. And we can channelize our energy towards achieving what matters most to me. I will channelize all my energy towards that direction when I want to achieve something, because my goal is set. And to do that, it is not easy, but you need to be very, very self-disciplined. So a strong ego can only enforce self-discipline by reminding you of your long-term goals that you have and the importance of staying focused, always remaining on the track, even when there are so much of distractions who are trying to pull you down, who are trying to distract. There will be many such work coming in between where you will have distractions, sorry, not destruction, but it's distraction. But then you have to remain focused and be on the track so that your goal is achieved. So that is, goal setting is important, and with that, you need to be focused. So after that, I think constructive competition. It is not that we will only be focusing on the goal, and competition is always there. A healthy competition is not bad. It is good. The ego drives you in a competitive environment, and then when you balance it, this can motivate you to perform better. You can think of something creating new. You can challenge, it can challenge you to accomplish what you want to do. Rather than threat, it can drive you to improve continuously on your own abilities.
Yes.
Okay? It is not something that you compete with others around you. It is sometimes we compete with ourselves. If I can do this, I should be able to achieve the next level.
Yes.
So the next level is my goal. So I compete with myself in achieving what I can do and what I cannot do, and keep away the distractions.
True.
So that is for personal growth as well as for collective growth also. This is very important. The next point is adaptability, or the flexibility that I have, and self-reflection. If I don't reflect on myself, what I am trying to do, how I am perceived by others, what is that I need to work on? So this is what the ego is also compelling you to have a self-reflection for your growth. Okay? By acknowledging the areas where I am good at and where I need to improve upon. So when I self-reflect, I will know where I went wrong, where I have to work upon, where I need to improve upon. So I can work on that area. So you work on your weaknesses without letting them diminish your self-worth. It is not that if I have not been able to focus on, do something in a very nice way, it does not mean that I have lost my self-worth. It is only for making, there will be a room for improvement. So more room for improvement will be there, and we need to work on it. And for that, flexibility is necessary. We cannot just sit back and think that, okay, this is what I am and this is the best.
Yeah.
If I reflect on my own actions, my work, what I have done and how it has affected, then only I will know that to be flexible, to adapt, to be mean, in my approach, I'll be open to change. Okay, so change whom? Change myself, my ideas, my way of looking into things around me. So that is it. The next point probably is the ego with humility. So we were talking about ego as arrogance. If arrogance is there, then we will not be able to succeed. So ego with humility is a must. So while the ego drives the ambition, balancing it with humility ensures that you remain grounded. You don't fly away from where you are. You remain grounded to your roots very much. So recognizing the contribution of others at the same time and staying humble with your own achievement is something which is very, very important.
Yes.
And that only can be achieved when we have a balanced ego. And this balanced ego understands the value of teamwork and collaboration and taking others together, respecting others' views. All these will come if there is humility. And the last but not the least is the very important point is the creating a lasting impact. A well-managed ego will not only lead you to an immediate success, but it will have a long-lasting impact on others as well, on the surroundings, surrounding you. So you need to focus on creating a legacy of yourself, that your work means this, you are so and so. So there should be a standard that people will recognize with your name,
Yes.
with when you work. So this is your legacy. So this is what I say, that creating a lasting impact is something which is very important. So I think this is what, in summary, the ego can be a very powerful tool for, ego can be a powerful tool to achieve success. Okay, it can always be motivating. So that is what I think is all about how we can harness the power of ego for success.
Absolutely, ma'am, and thank you so much for sharing those fantastic tips with us. You explained them very nicely. Each point actually has great impact if you use it positively, because we learned about the negative aspects of ego, and here we learned all about the positive aspects of having ego, how it can be a driving force to achieve something really big in life, and after achieving that big, how it is going to be a force in managing your ego. I mean, having humility to manage your achievements and be humble as always is something really great. And also it takes a lot of courage and a lot of ego again to accept your mistakes and to be humble even after achieving all of it. So there are people who with inflated ego who do not accept when they do something wrong, and then there are people who are so humble and have such a beautiful ego and such a beautiful idea of ego in their mind that they're open to ideas and listen to others and manage their emotions so well. And I think these are the people we must look up to, and these are the people who set really good examples and become role models. And now that we have learned about both sides of the coin, it's time for us to understand how to handle ego for becoming a better person. It has both positive and negative impact on us, the way we perceive it actually. But Professor Elizabeth, I'm sure there are certain strategies, certain tips that can help us learn to handle this ego so that we become a better version of what we are today.
Yes, thank you once again for that question. The two panelists has already touched upon very important points. Yes, when we say ego, it is always identify with something. It may be your thoughts, it may be your idea,
Yes.
it may be your feelings, your perception, which we have already mentioned. So it is, since it is connected to all these things, because ego in itself will not come. It is linked with our idea or our feelings or our thoughts. That is why it is very, very important that we handle and manage ego. So that is why just now Tulika has mentioned about reflection. Reflection is needed because the egos that we have, it comes from thoughts, it's come from ideas. So we need to be very much aware about things, that how information reaches us, how ideas comes to us. So it is important for that to look upon it, to go inside into it and to reflect on that. The great psychologist Carl Jung say that ego is the center of consciousness. Ego is so that is how we can look at very positively also. Since it is the center of consciousness, we need to have a consciousness to build up our self-worth, or maybe our identity or our self-esteem. So that is why ego is a foundation. Yes, ego is a foundation, but it has to be managed. Soma also has talked about how we have to handle, otherwise it will be, inflated, where it will be out of control. So though it is, like a center or a foundation or a basis of, like our self-worth or self-esteem, how we build our identity, but still then it has to be managed, because it it can empower us. It can be overinflated, and it will get overwhelmed, and we lose ourselves. That is very, very possible. So if our ego take the better of us, then it will be difficult to come back into who we really are.
Yes.
Even Freud, the father of psychoanalysis, says that ego is not the master of its own home, but we are the master. So he acknowledged the importance of ego, but he also admit that ego has to be managed. Ego has to be, handled, and ego has to be understood also. So that is why we have to master, we have to manage it, we have to handle, because once it become overinflated, once it become it consumes us, overpower us, it is very, very difficult to lose touch to our reality. So that is what is the caution that we have to take. Soma has elaborately mentioned about what is the negative impact of it. So once, if we want to be successful, we have to be very, very much aware about such impact that can have in our, in our growth, or in our, development of our self-worth or identity. So many points, as I have already said, has been already mentioned. But still then, I would like to also supplement with some points, such as, if you want to handle ego, if you want to manage ego, there are certain very practical, suggestions that can be applied into our life, such as stopping validating oneself from others. So when we are validating too much with others, that when we are looking too much, about others. See, I know that we are social animal. Society are our mirrors. We need to, look at the society, and then anything we do is to accept the appreciation and also the acknowledgement of society. But still then, if I don't understand myself first, I cannot understand others. If I don't understand myself, I cannot understand society. So that is what is the importance of being aware about self, being being in cognizance of that in our personality there are such important elements as ego. So that is why I need to have an understanding that I have to look at myself first before I look at others people to always give me the validation. So we have to stop always looking for people saying that, okay, this is how you have to be, this is how you have to speak, this is how you have to dress. Instead of that, I think we need to look at ourselves first, then we'll be able to look at the others also. So that is what is important. That is what I say, that ego is the foundation of self-worth, or the building of the self-esteem. That is why it is very important that we take it as a foundation. We take it as a foundation, but we have to handle it. We have to manage it. so that it will not consume us, so that it will not overpower us, so that it will not, it will become so powerful, overinflated, that will not be able to, come out with our true identity. This is very dangerous. So that is why we need to check that. We have to see that we have to stop looking at others always to validate us in whatever we do. Okay. And another important point is that overthinking oneself. Overthinking. So sometimes we tend to overthink. Sometimes we calculate. See, some simple thing also we calculate. Two into two is four, four into like that. So there are sometimes there are situations where we don't need to, calculate, or where we don't need to, go into that extent. So sometimes when we go too much into such, when we are too critical to ourselves, I'm saying, when we are too overcritical to ourselves, then we tend to go to the negative side also.
Yes.
We tend to, find faults. So we tend to find faults. That is why it is very important. I think the two co-panelists also mentioned about having the boundary, having the, the right, situation, or I should say, we should not cross where we are supposed to, be like. So we have to be very careful when we are critically reflecting. Even reflecting is one of the technique which we have mentioned, but we have to be very careful also that we are not too critical to ourselves. So we have to understand also, I, me, myself is also important. So I, me, myself, I have to understand, I have to know very well, I have to be very clear about it. Then only I'll be able to understand the others. So that kind of the relationship and the link between me and the others has to be very clear. So if we don't handle our ego, so that will, help us, that will make us lost touch with the reality. We become very fake, for example. We become very artificial.
Yes.
If we don't take care of the, the ego aspects. So already self-confidence, resilience, overthinking, all these are already mentioned by the co-panelists. These are very important points. So you have to have a self-confidence. You have to, so when you have self-confidence, so ego and self-confidence goes together. So when you have, when you are sure about yourself, you gain confidence. So in order to have a confidence, you have to be very clear about who I am as a person. I, me, and myself has to be clear. So these are some of the important points which friends has mentioned about. So Albert Einstein, the great scientist, he says that the more I gain knowledge, the lesser my ego is.
Yes.
So I need to, in order to, understand things, in order for me to control my ego, I have to have knowledge also. I have to learn. I have to, because as we already say, ego is it's a evolving things. It's a evolving, domain. So we have to understand that we have to keep on learning. We have to refine ourselves. So the more you know, you become more humble. Tulika also mentioned about humility. So humility, when you are knowledgeable, you become humble.
Yes.
Humility comes with knowledge. So that is why humility, to have humility, you have to understand how things work, how people are thinking, what are the other feelings. So empathy, humility, confidence, all these are related to, ego. So we have to have, understanding, and we have to look at the right perspective to ego. Then we'll be able to harness, we'll be able to gain a lot in other aspects, which is very, very important, like self-worth, like, for example, your, identity, clarity of identity. So, and especially Freud has mentioned that ego is very, predominant, very dominant in the young stage. For example, it is in the, in the small children, it's very predominant. So it become ego, and ego becomes super ego. So that it evolved like that. So once you reach super ego, it's very high level. So, but we have to, go to that journey. So from overcoming the it, then having reached the stage of ego, and then to the super ego. So that is what is, that clarity that we need to have.
Right.
Yes, thank you.
Absolutely. And, You really very nicely mentioned that unless and until we know ourselves, unless and until we know our limitations, our qualities, our plus points and negative points, it will be very difficult for us to manage emotions. And the knowledge, of course, I don't know, but even the greatest of the greatest people, whatever they have known throughout their lives, they still feel it's like a drop in the ocean. There's still so much to explore, so much to learn, so much to know about. And humility goes a long way when it comes to ego. Definitely, it is a very beautiful emotion. All you need to learn is how to manage it well so that you become a better person. You should not, be a lesser version of what you are today. But every day, each day, you must evolve. You must know about your emotions, understand yourself, and handle your emotions well. Ego should be a driving force in life to achieve great heights, to scale new heights, and not to be something that is only pulling you down and bringing the worst to you. But then, we have our own parameters of having achieved something in life, because we live in a society, we have our own conditioning, we have some values instilled in us during our growing up years. And that is how we all define success in different ways. There are societal norms that we follow, something that has been there in our culture, in our community. So, Professor Soma, I would like to ask you about those various ways in which a person defines success and how it impacts the societal norms. Please tell us.
Thank you, Ms. Kaur. And I have been listening so intently to Dr. Tulika and Professor Elizabeth, and all the things that they have said, I have enriched myself. And yes, everything is, so linked. And what we are looking towards is how a person can be grounded, how he stays grounded, how he understands his realities, and how he doesn't needs any validation from others,
Yes.
how he can be his own. Yes, and then finally, finding success in life. So finding success in life in whatever we want to do, in whatever our mind desires, whatever good we want to do for the society. So the next thing that comes to our mind along with ego, that where it is leading us. Yes. So what is success? Now, success has always been tied down, I would say tied down to things like accumulating wealth, status, material, professions, and society has often equated success with external achievements such as a high-paying job or a fancy car, or nowadays we see getting pets, having big dogs. And however, true success is subjective and varies from person to person. We understand that the society is diverse and we are all different from each other. So we have our own way of defining success, but society also has got its certain norms, cultural norms are there, societal norms are there that defines success. Now, success might mean finding inner peace for many. Success might, mean that also. Success might also mean achieving personal growth for certain individuals. For some other people, you will find success could mean making meaningful connections with family, with friends, or pursuing their passions, regardless of financial gain, and making life worthwhile, making life beautiful, making life profitable for others, for your neighbors, for the community, for the society, for the country. Now, the problem with society's current definition of success is that it creates a very unhealthy mindset where we constantly compare ourselves to others, we others' achievements, instead of focusing on our own goals, on our own aspirations. And this is where ego comes to play a very, very important role in twisting our mind, in making this word, small word ego, assume a very big proportion in our life. Furthermore, this narrow definition also perpetuates the idea that only certain professionals are deemed successful. You will see people, being pushed by their parents to become doctors, to become engineers, to become IAS officers. We have seen the recent tragedy,
Yes.
in Delhi. So, and we have seen how kids, they leave suicide notes for their parents. Such sad situations.
Yes.
Where they are pushed to the brink. They are pushed to the brink of their life, where they don't know where to go, where they don't know whom to talk to, and finally they end their lives, their valuable lives. So, what we see is this, that these certain kind of cultural norms, the society that has pushed, or would say that has put put on us, is while overlooking other valuable contributions, which a volunteer might be able to make, or a writer might be able to make, a musician might be able to make to the society, and also so many other creative endeavors are there to make a person, to make an individual successful. So it is essential when we talk about success. It is very, very essential for the society, for the parents to realize and to understand that it is not one size fits all. It doesn't fit that way. We have to strive and to redefine what it means for us personally, rather than adhering to social expectations. So the current definitions of success, therefore, what I feel needs to be revisited and revised. They excessively emphasize on material wealth, status, power, while ignoring other essentials of our life, contributing to happiness and mental well-being of our kids. This narrow definition of success creates a culture where people feel pressurized, and constantly they live under pressure for more money, for more positions, more achievements, more recognitions. And another bane that we have here, of course, that also is a very double-edged instrument, is the social media.
Yes.
Where we also define our life, the success of our life, that depends upon the likes on social media. How many likes our photograph is getting, how many likes our achievements that we put up on social media. So social media also is in one way pushing our people, pushing our kids to that, again, that brink of life. We know, the different platforms that we have, and interestingly, social media is also making people earn hugely. People earn a lot of money through social media also. So when they see one success story through social media, they want to also become like the other person. This also impacts so much, impacts our life so much. It creates a lot of obsession with traditional markers of success, leads to a never-ending cycle of dissatisfaction. People get caught up in this pursuing their goals without pausing also to reflect on whether those goals are genuinely fulfilling or meaningful for them, or they are contributing to the to building up a healthy society and a healthy community.
Yes.
Consequently, you will see that they often find themselves, they're burnt out, or they are unfulfilled. They finally do not achieve these objectives. Moreover, we see that the way that we view success is creates a very unhealthy comparison among individuals, fueled by, like what I said, definitely certain very popular social media platforms, Instagram, Facebook, where people showcase their luxurious life, and this constant bombardment of images from others' seemingly perfect life can also lead us to depression. It leads us to resentment with ourselves and constant discontentment with our families, with our parents, and with self. In addition to these problems posed by current definitions of success, it neglects vital areas like personal growth. It impacts negatively our relationships, our mental well-being, which are critical factors necessary for a successful life. So it's very important that educational institutions, we help our students, we help our kids to understand the realities of life, and to make them understand what is the meaning of real success, and beyond societal expectations. Like Professor Tulika also mentioned, Professor Elizabeth also mentioned about that validation from others. This is a very big impact. It has got a very big impact on our life. We become success. We feel that we are successful because our friends validate us, our parents validate us, our peers validate us. So our life should not be like that. It should be refined accordingly. Now, what we also understand now, when we try to connect success with ego, it has been found in researches that success becomes a liability when it is hijacked by ego. So previous speakers, they have focused on how ego needs to be harmonized in our life, how it needs to be balanced in our life. So success often gives way to status, which sets people up for ego-driven concerns. A truly successful leader, if you look at our some of the most important industries that we had in our country, look at the Tatas. If you look at the Tata Group, you will see the truly successful leaders often offers a big vision that outstrips their own performance and outstrips their own personal aspirations. And that's why our young people are become passionate by looking at these success story. And it is very difficult, but necessary actually to cultivate humility, like how our esteemed previous panelists have very mentioned, that to become a successful leader, people can definitely become very successful because genuine inspiration and authenticity, only then only. But the lives that we live today are impacted by so many things, and our work attracts so much of attention. We want to be admired, we want to be praised, we want to be dressed like others, precisely because of their authentic passion. They reap this appreciation, and then it becomes a role model for others. Quite often, that's the beginning of the end. So success takes on a life on its own and becomes a goal in itself. How we define success, what is success for me, can be very different from it for you. Gone is the authenticity. Our lives, for many of us, is no more authentic, and that intrinsic drive is not there. We basically are losing it in many ways. And if we do not look into these aspects, it can become very, very dangerous because India will be overtaking China as far as population is concerned in another year or two. So how do we handle this human resource? It's very important, their idea of success, which has to be matched with their talent. So, ma'am, if with your permission, I also want to speak about a little bit of NEP 2020 and how we relate success with it, and how the ministry, how the government has designed this NEP so that students are made employable. This is a very big concern for our society, that students, when they are out of the university or higher education institutions, they learn certain things which are not which do not make them employable in the society. So the NEP has been designed in such a manner, right from the school level, that it makes a person's life worthwhile. So we do not have that. NEP is designed in such a manner that gone is the concept of dropouts. We do not brand any more students as dropouts, because they will achieve something even after completing 1 year of college life. it will give them some skills which will make them success in life. I'm just talking about the very basic aspect. But as this whole journey continues, even all kinds of skills are imparted to the students through the NEP, which has the promise of making successful in life. And how to define success? That, of course, is an individual thing. It can happen with musicians, it can happen with artisans, it can happen with political leaders, it can happen with people with who climb the ladders of organization where they work. So the society has to understand this, that whether we want to push our kids, we want to push our youth to the brink of life with our own way of defining success, or we want to have a healthy society, a healthy community where everybody is happy, and where it leads to a violence-free society and community. And we see that the way that we our school manages ourselves, our higher education institutions manages ourselves, is that it puts too much of pressure on our generations, today's generations in life, and it's all from the fact that people are being pushed to live in a way contrary to how they should live authentically. So there's this idea of having to go to school to get good grades, get good job, climb up the corporate ladder, make money, have a successful life that way, have a good family. Children are also very good, acquire materials, marry the prettiest girl or the handsomest of the person in the life, in the society, have kids, and be the best person in the eyes of everyone. It seems that is the standard form of success, in the thing. In fact, it's nothing wrong. It's nothing wrong to go to school, achieve these things. But to the degree where this idea takes away the person's joy in life and bliss from them, because that's what someone believes is success, where the success becomes a problem. It affects our mental health, it affects our physical health, and especially with the millennials and the General Zs. So that's how we look at success in the society. And finally, we also can definitely, as I said, can relate ego with success. And the role of ego has to be actually balanced. It really has to be balanced so that we become all well-rounded individuals. And when we have all well-rounded individuals, only then we can talk about the benefits which the society can accrue benefits. And finally, we can continue successfully our march towards Viksit Bharat in every aspect, whether it is education, whether it is industry, whether it is culture, you name every aspect of our national life. So that is how I believe, success can be understood and molded for us.
Absolutely, ma'am. Thank you so much for that really beautiful explanation. We all know that definition of success is very personalized. Ambitions are very personalized. You mentioned Ratan Tata, and he was interviewed once, and the interviewer asked him, how do you manage to take all the right decisions? And he said, it's not necessary that I always take the right decision, but what really matters is what I do after, to correct the wrong decisions that I've taken. So definitely what you do with your emotions and how you define success, and when something goes wrong, how open you are to feedback, that's what defines you and your ego, whether it's in the right place or in the wrong side. So now, we are left with only 10 more minutes, and let's make the best use of these 10 more minutes by, asking a question to Dr. Tulika. Dr. Tulika, we have understood this entire meaning of ego is impact, positive, negative, both. We all know that in today's world, distractions are playing an important role, in deciding, which side we are actually evolving, whether we're becoming better or worse. But parents and teachers, the society has a role to play. If we talk about parents and teachers, what role do they play when it comes to harnessing the power of ego for the children? Dr. Tulika, can you hear us? Dr. Tulika, am I audible to you? Well, I think there is some problem with the connectivity out there, but yes, still we are left with very little time. So I would request the two panelists, Professor Elizabeth and Professor Soma, to just talk about the role of parents and teachers. What can they do to inculcate good values in their children so that they can harness the power of success from the ego.
Yeah, that's very important because parents, teachers, friends, all these are significant others for the children. So we need to have, we need to guide them, we need to handhold them, we need to scaffold them in knowing themselves, which is very important. And Soma will agree with me if I say that there is a big role for counselor also. So a counselor, in harnessing the positive impact of ego, the parents, the counselor, they have to make the children know about themselves, and understand that we are all human beings, but we need to strive on, trying to get what is more beneficial for us and that is important, what is our strength in ourselves.
Yes.
So that is why see, we all have ego. Everybody has ego. So, but what we have to understand is that we should know the strategy and the techniques how to handle it. So that lies with the more knowledgeable others. More knowledgeable others are very important because we live in a society, we live in a family. So those who are more knowledgeable, they have a big responsibility. They have a duty to guide our students or their children. Even siblings can play that role also by guiding children to understand identity formation is very important for your career, for your development, vertical, horizontal development.
Yes.
Identity formation is very important, and ego is very much related to identity formation.
True.
So we have to know in what way we have to proceed, what are the technique, what are the strategy. So we need the help of those who are more expertise in this. Yes.
Absolutely, absolutely. So this is very important to, seek the help of counselors, the experts, and, they can not just mentor the students, but also guide their parents and teachers. So, this is the only way through which we can help our children to become better individuals, help them learn how to manage their emotions. Professor Soma, do you have any closing remarks for this conversation that we had on, harnessing the powers of the ego for success in life?
Thank you, Ms. Kaur. It has been an absolute pleasure to be a part of this session. Yes, definitely. Professor Elizabeth has very importantly mentioned about the role of the counselor. Now, we understand what we are talking about is professional counselor. But when I think about my own childhood, and particularly people belonging to my generation, the best counselor has been our parents.
Yes.
They are our best counselor. Has been strict with us, has been lovable towards us, have spoiled us also, but that spoiling has been at a balance.
Yes.
Have never spoiled us to the hill that we don't care about other people.
True.
So the ultimate goal is what? The ultimate goal for a child in life and for the parents' role into this is to build up the self-esteem. Make the child, have rich self-esteem, has rich opinions about the self,
Yes.
and tell them that how life can be positive if you do certain things.
Absolutely.
Now, there are two very essential components of healthy life, healthy self-esteem, which the parents need to tell the students sense of that they have a sense of personal worth and a sense of personal competence and efficacy. That every person in this world are important. Every person, every individual in the society has their own worth in the society, has a role to play in the life of the nation. So these two components of self-esteem develop over a period of time and with multiple experiences. It cannot, it's not a one day, one month kind of a thing. It's a continuous journey between the parents and the children. And these multiple experiences we get when the parents give us a very healthy direction in our life.
True.
So for that reason, the parents also has to have a very, very balanced idea of life, not comparing the kids with the neighbor's kids, not comparing the kids with some other person's brothers, sisters, relatives, or whoever they might be knowing. So people who are motivated will have a very high esteem. They have to understand that. And this motivation indicates positive self-regard, that I love myself, I know my worth, what are my capabilities, how far I am trained, whether I have been trained properly. And this cannot be and should not be equated with egoism.
True.
Egoism is something.
It's a deal breaker. Yeah.
Yes.
So
thank you so much. Thank you so much for having me, and looking forward to your own discussion now.
Absolutely. So thank you so much to all the panelists for this wonderful discussion on harnessing the powers of the ego for success in life. I would like to extend my thanks to Professor Elizabeth Gangmei, Dr. Tulika Dey, and Professor Soma Bhomik. Thank you so much once again for your valuable contribution to this edition of MANODARPAN Paricharcha. Thank you so much. Well, it's time for me to wrap up this edition over here, but we will see you again with yet another interesting topic and with some great insights on our session MANODARPAN Paricharcha. Till then, this is me, Harpreet Kaur, taking leave of you. Please stay tuned for more educational programs. Namaskar.
अब नहीं है हिचकिचाना, मन के स्वास्थ्य पर है ध्यान लगाना।
अब नहीं है हिचकिचाना, मन के स्वास्थ्य पर है ध्यान लगाना।
मन की सेहत भी है जरूरी, काउंसलर से फिर क्यों दूरी।
मन की सेहत भी है जरूरी, काउंसलर से फिर क्यों दूरी।
चलो अब अपना फोन उठाओ, मनोदर्पण पर कॉल लगाओ। चलो अब अपना फोन उठाओ, मनोदर्पण पर कॉल लगाओ। मनोदर्पण के काउंसलर से परामर्श पाने के लिए डायल करें टोल फ्री नंबर 844-844-0632। नंबर एक बार फिर सुने, 844-844-0632।